Hello, I am Cavell's network analyst for Good Begley. I also do security, infrastructure, those kind of things. If you're not aware of me, I've been working at Cavell for a few years. I've been talking to a lot of networking companies, doing a lot of research in the space. I used to do marketing for telecoms and networking companies as well. So I've got, about 10 years of experience dealing with these sorts of companies and in the space. And the last few years as an analyst doing research and reports and those kind of things. If you're not familiar with Cavell in the networking context, if you've already heard of us from a cloud comms perspective, which many people have, we do have a whole separate division, which is engineers who have been working on networking projects for the past 15, 20 years, who have worked at and run some of the large networking companies, worked with companies like Riverbed, VMware, Cisco, all of those kind of things. And really the decision was made a few years ago to fork Cavell into also doing research on networking companies, to just broaden out that expertise from our engineering side to match it with expertise from our analyst side, and that is where I find my work. So that's kind of our background in the networking space. Obviously, we have a lot of things we can talk about and say in this area, and over the past few years, we have been looking at SD-WAN and more recently Secure Access Service Edge, or SASE, as a topic. So what we're here today to launch is, of course, our latest report on networking SASE, and we're calling it the State of Networking SASE. And the real thing that sort of differentiates this from a more broad SASE report is that whilst it does include an overview of all the things you'll find in SASE and how Cavell defines it as that tight integration of networking and security areas, really it is focused on networking providers first, with security providers added in as a bit of extra. We haven't looked at necessarily all of the security providers we possibly could have, while we are trying to focus more on the question of networking providers pivoting into SASE and how that product is going to work with them and with their channel, and who's doing it well, and all those kind of questions. So in there, we do have a bit of a product head-to-head in terms of we've looked at the different features available from the different vendors that we've been interacting with and sort of tried to say exactly who we think is leading in each category. We have done a bit of research into the size of the channel that is selling networking for each of the companies we've looked at, as well as sort of trying to get an understanding and a profile of what other services they're selling alongside that. So is it voice? Is it security? How many of those networking company channel partners that are currently selling SD-WAN, for example, are also selling security and might be ready to pivot into a SASE offering to match the offering that the company themselves are now selling? So that's kind of a brief idea of what we're including. So there's a bit where we talk about SASE, we talk about the trends driving it forwards, we talk about sorts of technology that are included. We have a few places where we rank and we discuss vendors and what they're doing and what they're doing well and what technologies they're offering that set them apart from their competition. And we have a bit sort of about the channel ecosystem and how that sort of plays out for each of the vendors and strengths in different countries in Europe and the US, for example. So that's really the meat of the report. The things you're going to get out from this: you're going to get a better understanding of SASE and how it's going to shape the future of networking. You're going to understand how the networking vendors have shifted to approach SASE, who's shifted to approach it, who hasn't. You're going to learn a bit more about how the network and security channel varies across those different vendors. And you're going to start to appreciate the relationship between SD-WAN and SASE and how those two technologies are interacting with each other over the next few years. And that's kind of really the meat of the report. So if you're interested, please do get in touch. We can talk a bit more about what's in it. Obviously, it will be available on our website and those kind of things. Anyone buying it will also get some of my time to talk through the broader trends of what we're hearing and what's going on, aside from just what's in the report. And we can also talk about specific guidance or advice on tying what's in the report back to your specific questions and requirements if you have another place or area you need to talk about, or something you need to, say, prepare for in terms of a presentation or those kind of things. So don't be afraid to get in touch if you have additional requirements beyond what the report can satisfy. So that's just kind of a quick overview. That's what we're doing. Really excited to launch this report. Obviously, there are lots more discussions to have. This is an ever-changing area of technology, one that I'm very excited to be part of, and I'm really keen to see how it develops over the next few years. And I, of course, will be here working with service providers, working with vendors to get that information, to bring it out to people in a productive and digestible manner, and really sort of help drive this thing forward. Because obviously, Cavell is one of our mottos is we help provide ideas that help provide the expertise that turns ideas into action. And that's kind of what this report is focused on, is what can you do with these networking vendors that are now starting to offer SASE, and should you start offering security as well, is one of those questions that I think a lot of service providers are asking. We've had a few projects on, so maybe you'll get some insight into that question as well from this report. Thanks a lot. I hope you read it. I hope you find the time. If you have any more questions about it, please do get in touch. finbar@cavellroot.com.